Welcome to the E-commerce Badassery Podcast, the place for scrappy entrepreneurs who want to learn actionable steps and strategies to grow the traffic, sales, and profit in your e-commerce business. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster, a 20-year retail veteran and former brick-and-mortar boutique owner who spent 3 years as the only employee of a 7-figure online store. That shit was crazy. I know exactly how it feels to do all the things, and I'm sharing everything I learned the hard way so you don't have to. I may have started this business by accident, but supporting badass bosses like you lights me the fuck up, and I am so stoked to see you grow. Are you ready, babe? Let's roll. Welcome back to the E-commerce Badassery Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster. Before we get into the details of this week's episode, I want to remind you that I have published 15 plus other episodes all about Q4 strategy here on the podcast over the last few years. I'm not going to read them all out to you. That would be obnoxious. But I do recommend you check out the E-commerce Badassery podcast database that will allow you to add a Q4 filter. So it'll just pull up all the holiday episodes for you. Head to ecommercebadassery.com/database to access that. You can also check the full show notes for this episode, ecommercebadassery.com/294 for some additional resources. All right, so now that we got that housekeeping out of the way, let's chat about increasing your conversion this holiday season. While there are many different ways you can increase conversion, today I want to talk about the use of landing pages. More specifically, landing pages for your best-selling products. Now, if you have a really wide product assortment, you're not necessarily going to be creating landing pages for every single one of your items. But if you have a few standout items, a special holiday item or bundle, or even just one evergreen item that you're well known for and still makes sense as a focus for the holiday, then a landing page might be a good idea. And when I say landing page, I'm not talking about the traditional landing page you would see for an information product or some sus supplement that doesn't have a header or footer. We're going to keep the header and footer of your website. It's just about the content on the page itself. Think of this as a product page on steroids that is positioned to sell one product to one customer for one specific reason. Landing pages are often used for paid advertising so that you can ensure the problem, solution, or product position you're highlighting in the ad is then the main focus of the page itself. For example, let's say you sell a women's fragrance and you want to run ads. Well, if you're trying to sell to the gift giver and the end user, that's two different audiences and two different messages. To ensure you give the customer the best possible experience, you might consider creating two separate landing pages for this so that you can reinforce the message from the ad on the product page itself. But even if you're not running ads and you only have one main message, you can still use this strategy. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I think it's pronounced Bleem. It's that crystal hair eraser thing. I don't even really know what it is. But they use a landing page strategy for their product pages. I stuck a link in the show notes if you want to pull it up and follow along because we are going to walk through it. So what are you going to put on this page? Well, every great landing page has some standard sections that you're going to want to include, which we're going to walk through. And whether you're going the landing page route or the extended product page route, the structure is going to be the same. The only difference is going to be the content that you have above the fold. For example, if you're going for the extended product page version, then the above the fold content is going to be the same as the rest of your product pages. You have great imagery and product videos. You'll highlight some key features and benefits. You'll display your star rating, and you're going to have an add to cart button. If you're going to go the landing page route, instead of having a product name, you might focus on a headline that speaks to the outcome the customer is looking for with a subheading to expand on whatever your unique selling proposition is or to just reinforce that outcome. Once you get past that above the fold portion, then you're going to want to start diving deeper into the features and benefits of the product. For every feature you include, you want to ask yourself, so what? What's in it for the customer? So it's your job to explain how each feature solves the problem or helps the customer get the outcome they're looking for. For example, back in the day, and I don't even know if they still make these, but the brand 7 jeans, they had a style called the A-frame, I think it was. I've been out of the apparel game for a while, but it had a contour waistband. So essentially the waistband was a little bit smaller compared to the width of the hip. So they were really good if you had a little bit of a rounder booty and a smaller waist, so you didn't get that gap in the back, which I always struggle with. So contour waistband, so you don't get the dreaded gap, would be an example of the feature and then the benefit. You can also include icons to represent your unique selling propositions, whether that's free shipping, easy returns, cruelty-free, handmade, non-toxic, whatever those things are. Underneath that, if you have a bit more complicated product, then you can continue to go into more details like specifications, explainer videos, or lifestyle videos showing that product in action. You might want to insert some storytelling here as well. And that will lead perfectly into any reviews, social proof, or user-generated content you have. Then you can go into any guarantees you might have or trust badges you want to display, such as a money-back guarantee or additional payment options. Underneath that, you'll want to go into your FAQs. You can include both product-specific FAQs, such as how to actually use the product, and anything more general, like shipping or returns questions. And then at the bottom of the page, you want to include another call to action so they don't have to manually scroll all the way back up to the top. So this could be a sticky add to cart button, or an anchor link that brings the customer back to the section with the add to cart button. So you could have a button that says get this deal, and then that's technically an anchor link that skips them back up to the top. So that's the gist of what you want to have on your product landing page. You don't necessarily have to have all of this content in the exact order I just laid it out for you, but you do want all of the elements. And ultimately, you just want to make sure that it flows and feels natural throughout the page. So to give this a little more color, let's walk through the Bleem page together. Again, check the show notes for a link so you can see it for yourself, but I'm going to describe how they have this page laid out. So above the fold, it looks like a traditional e-commerce product page. We've got a carousel of images on the left and then our product information on the right-hand side. Now, the product images are not just your standard product on white or even product in someone's hand. Yes, they have those, but they also have images where it calls out some of their best product features. They have before and afters, and there's even collages of screenshots of comments from social media. So people talking about how much they love the product, and all of that is in that initial image gallery. So it's very similar to when you are shopping on Amazon or Etsy, for example. You'll see a lot of this there. It's the same type of content that you might put on social. It's just all in this image gallery. Then on the right-hand side, of course, we have our review stars, the product title. They have a call out for an award they won and then the price. And then underneath that, they have a super short and sweet description, which says, shave armpits, legs, face, and bikini area without painful waxing or razor cuts ever again. So they literally tell you what it does and the problem it solves. Then you've got a few bullet points on the features of the product and what it's good for. They do have 2 variant options, so you can buy a single item or a 2-pack, and then you've got your add to cart button. Underneath that, they have payment icons, so all the credit cards that they accept. They call out their free shipping and returns. And then they have some accordions. So you click on it, it opens up, an accordion, like a FAQ page, for example, that just answers some common questions. Again, all pretty typical of an e-commerce product page. Once you get past that first section, now there's a whole lot of additional information. And this is where it really starts to feel like a landing page. So the first section that they added is a whole bunch of user-generated content. and a reminder of their review stars. Underneath that, they have some actual produced demonstration videos. Now, this is a pretty simple product, so they're short and sweet, but it's just to show you how to use it on different parts of your body. Then they have a before and after slider photo with some feature callouts. For instance, they say it's easy to use, it's long lasting, it's travel safe, and it slows hair growth. Underneath that, there's more social proof along with some feedback scores. So, for example, they say 95% said the appearance of strawberry legs improved, and they've got like 3 or 4 of those. Then they have more reviews and before and after photos. Underneath that, there is an us versus them section where it compares their product to shaving and waxing. And if you're not familiar with an us versus them, it's basically just a list of features, and then they have check marks or X's in these 3 columns to identify what they have that the other guys don't. Next, they highlight their risk-free guarantee, followed by their generic review block, FAQs, and a final reminder of how easy it is to buy from them with free shipping, their 30-day guarantee, and their easy returns. Additionally, throughout this page, there are numerous headlines that speak to their ideal customer and the outcome they're looking for. There are calls to action sprinkled throughout the page in different sections, and there's a sticky add to cart button that appears once you scroll past that very first add to cart button. And that's a typical feature of a lot of e-commerce sites. If your theme doesn't have that, there's probably an app that can do it, or it's something you can get custom coded. Now, if you didn't already notice, while I was reading through what was included on this page, there is a lot of repetition. You see the features and reviews called out in the images of the listing, but they're scattered all over the page. You've got their guarantee mentioned multiple places in multiple different formats. You've got directions in photos, in written form, and in video. It's the same exact information, just presented in different formats to appeal to all types of shoppers. Some people are going to skim, some are going to scroll, some are going to go through all the photos, while others are going to read all the words. No matter how someone chooses to consume content on this page, all of the elements we discussed will be there for them to see. So if you were listening to me read through this, or you're following along on the actual page, you may initially think that you don't have enough content to fill up a landing page like this. But that's probably not the case, because it's the same information just presented in different formats. So what are your next steps? First, start thinking about what your main product or marketing focus is going to be for Q4. Ask yourself, is there a particular product that it would make sense for you to build out a page like this for? Of course, doing this for your best-selling items is always a good idea. If you have a holiday-specific product that you bring back every year, like what is your pumpkin spice latte, that could also be a good reason to build out a page like this. While it's going to be a bit of work up front to gather all of your assets and put this page together, the idea is that the page is going to do all the selling for you. Think of this as an asset. You take the time, energy, and effort to put the page together, and it's going to continue to work for you moving forward. And if you do have multiple best-selling products that you want to create pages like this for, you don't have to do them all right now. Start with whatever your number one bestseller is, and you can build out the rest early next year. By the time you get to mid-September, you really don't want to be working on any projects. At that point, you have to be geared up for list growth in October and going live with your holiday marketing campaign on or around November 1st. Once you get past that mark, it's just sell, sell, sell. So I don't want you to overextend yourself due to any FOMO you may have developed while listening to this episode. Again, make sure you check the show notes for additional resources to help you craft these landing pages, to help you plan your Q4 strategy, and hit the e-commerce badassery podcast database for additional Q4 planning episodes. And that, my friends, is a wrap. Make sure you join us next week, where we're going to continue to talk about some more Q4 things. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you on the flip side. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you want to learn more about growing your e-commerce business, get started with my free resource library at ecommercebadassery.com/free stuff and get an invite to The Lounge, my e-commerce marketing membership. When you're ready for one-on-one support, apply to work with me at ecommercebadassery.com/apply. Before you go, would you do me a quick favor? Leave a rating and review and tap that follow button. This pushes me up the chart so I can support more scrappy e-commerce entrepreneurs just like you. I'm on a mission to reach as many as I can, and I could really use your help. Thanks so much in advance. Until next time, e-commerce friend, stay badass.